And we have to start calling people out as African people, the people not doing, so that we don't get all like, okay, it's a good, feel-good issue, but you have responsibility, you're not producing. So I want to get two feedbacks on those two questions.
I would say, well, from my perspective, from going to West Georgia and their African Student Association, there was only a couple of us who were connected to the Congo. Everyone else was from Nigeria, from Ghana, and they'd heard about what was going on in the Congo. And one of the things that we tried to do was, with the youth, you have to try to get them with what they like to do. And that's one of the things that we did with the Miss Congo Unity pageant. We understood that young people like to have fun. They like music. They like the fashion shows and the talent shows and all those things. But it wasn't that we just did those talent shows and fashion shows. We also incorporated lectures. We had presentations on what's going on in the Congo, slides, pictures, all those kinds of things. We passed out different pamphlets. And then once we started doing that, and we would incorporate those two things, we were getting a lot more participation. And then we started getting people who were saying, well, there's the Break the Silence tour. Have you heard about that? Of course we've heard about that. Do you want to join it? Well, we saw that you guys, we came to your pageant last time, so we heard about it there and stuff. So it's getting them where in the mind frame of we're still having fun, but we're also learning at the same time. It's just one of those, it's kind of keeping a balance between the two. And I think that's one of the strongest things that you can do in getting young people involved, because there's always going to be that thing, well, the older people don't want us to talk about it, or just like I said earlier, they don't think that we can handle it. They don't think that we will be able to do anything with the information. But if you show them that, you know, you can also do certain things like the pageants, like the dances, like all those different things, you can do fun stuff to get them engaged, but still also coupling it with the knowledge that needs to be there. It will work. Right. It works all the time. My sister's 12. It works. She knows about the Congo now. She understands what's going on now, just by coupling it with the things that she understands that she likes to do. So I think in that way it will work.
So how people can reach you? Because you are based here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I am based here in Atlanta. Well, we have a website, www.misscongounity.com. You can get in contact with us there. We also have our email, which is embracethesky with 2 Y's at gmail.com. And that's what Embrace the Sky does. We try to do different fun things and expose kids to the fun things, make it fun for them to learn. Just yesterday, we did a workshop where we had a presentation, and my sister, which she studies dance, she showed them African dance, and then at the end, they were like, ooh, I want to go to Africa. Right, I was like, okay, good. So just things like that.
Yes, direct question. Yes, we work with TransAfrica. It has taken a bit over the years to get them really engaged in the Congo, but they've become increasingly engaged, and we've collaborated to do projects together, primarily educating the DC community about the situation in the Congo. As it relates to black leaders, your own Cynthia McKinney, she's been on the forefront of speaking out around the Congo. She had a seminal hearing in Congress in 2001, I believe, when she was a Congress member, where she brought people in to testify about the role of the United States government, U.S. corporations in the Congo. So she's been on the forefront. We do C.T. Vivian, who's home here. He's been supportive as well. So we're looking to expand that support base. The Congressional Black Caucus could be more supportive, without a doubt. Other black leaders certainly should be more supportive. We're reaching out to them, encouraging them to get engaged in this issue. We meet with Congress people in Washington, a number of them black Congress people, to try and get support for our work. We encourage you, to drop them a note, because they're not expecting you to know about something or much less care about Africa, especially the heart of Africa, which they call the heart of darkness, which is far from the truth. Pat Robertson didn't think it's the heart of darkness when he went there to do diamond prospecting, right? he made a beeline to the Congo for diamond mines, and so many other people that I can mention to you that you'd be surprised. They're there in the Congo trying to get access to the gold and the diamonds and the coltan and all those resources. So big dollars there. So those are some of the support that we've gotten. I don't know. Did we answer all of the question around that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah. So we need. Right. So we need to reach out to New Orleans. President Obama himself, he passed a law on the Congress. It's the only bill that he passed, called the Obama Law. We call it colloquially the Obama Law. The only bill that he got passed as senator, Public Law 109-456. But once he's become president, he hasn't been enforcing it. So a note from you to your legislator, ask why that bill is not, that law rather, it's not a bill, it's now a law, is not being enforced.
What's the law again?
Public Law 109-456. If you do a Google on it. And the essence of the law, it has a number, the laws has a number of things. But a few key things that are really important. One, it calls for the appointment of a special envoy for the Great Lakes region, for the Congo and the Great Lakes region. That means a point person that reports back to the president or to the Secretary of State that says what's taking place there and the policy that the United States should have toward that region. So that's one of the key elements of the law. A second key element of the law is 2 U.S. allies, right? Rwanda and Uganda are primarily responsible for the destabilizing of the Congo, right? So it calls for those two. There's a section 105, for those 2 U.S. allies to be held accountable so that they do not continue to destabilize the Congo. On the day of Obama's, either the day before Obama's inauguration, right? They sent military equipment to Rwanda, right? Under AFRICOM. And Rwanda has been one of the main destabilizers of the Congo. They invaded the Congo twice. And Rwanda gets a lot of funding from the U.S. government, right? So but the State Department, the U.S. government, refuses to hold Rwanda accountable, and it can. So the law calls for that provision. It also calls for the funding of support of political parties inside the Congo, right? What you find is that the U.S. government usually supports strong men, right? They identify an individual and they provide economic support to that individual or political support because that individual is going to keep the people down and provide unfettered access to Congo's riches to American corporations. So that's what the law deals with. So we can call for the enforcement of that law, and it's the only law that President Obama got passed as senator. That's why we call it the Obama law. But he hasn't been moving on it as president because the forces that are working against, the corporate forces that have corporate interests in the Congo are not allowing him to move on that. So we're putting pressure on him. And we have a whole section on friendsofthecongo.org. We have an effort to put pressure on President Obama to implement provisions of that law. This appointment of a special envoy, pressure on Rwanda and Uganda, because both of them invaded Congo and continue to destabilize Congo, and they get funding from the U.S. government. They get military support from the U.S. government.
Yes, it's been a very enlightening afternoon so far. But what I'm not sure of is that I personally don't quite understand is the source of the conflict in the Congo, which you may be able to enlighten us. Who are these rebels? What do they want? Because from what we know, there seems to be a dynasty, even by African standards, in the Congo. Laurent Kabila was succeeded by Joseph Kabila, who's the son. Whereas you go to Ghana, they had an election there where there's democracy being established there. In Nigeria, there's democracy being established there. Who are these rebels and what do they want? And two, why all these killings and rapings, and do you have a program? Because from what you have said so far, that's what I've been most touched by, that you say that so many women are being raped, so many people are being killed and all that. Do you have a program to stop this, a line of action? Because if you listen to all that has happened, so you have said so far, I feel very strongly about civilians and innocent women being maltreated, What program do you have, at least even like infrastructure, do you have to put a stop to this? And who are these rebels, Are they trying to overthrow the dynasty? Is the dynasty good for the Congo? Or something like that. I'm sure that gentleman who has been right in the Congo, they will tell us. Thank you.
Well, first, Congo has a democracy. And the thing I always mention, there is a reason why Joseph Kabila became president. And it wasn't the call for the Congolese. Whenever our constitution says that whenever the president dies, the head of the Senate takes power. So whenever he was killed on that day, there were so many things that happened during that day. There were phone calls from an international community. There was a council that met with militaries and ministers who decided that a person who wasn't even at the capital will become that. So now you have to will become president. Now you have to remember, right? These people have weapons. So think about a military coup that took place while the president was killed. So it wasn't a decision of the Congo, and Congo is definitely not a monarchy. It was an imposition that came about there. Who is doing the killing? The war in the Congo happened in 1996. It happened because of the invasion of Rwanda and Uganda. They came in under the umbrella of a rebel force called AFDL. They used Congolese as a front, Laurent Désiré Kabila that you have mentioned, and they had Rwandan and Ugandan soldiers within the military. And in the push of controlling the Congo, coming into the Congo, they recruited child soldiers and put them also into that force. They were powerful enough, with the support of the United States government, according to Cynthia McKinney's hearing in 2001, that they could not have done that with US military support. They were successful in toppling the regime of Mobutu and installing Laurent Désiré Kabila. After a year of them being in power, the Laurent Kabila and Rwanda and Uganda did not get along. There are many things that took place during that time. One of the things that Kabila did was cancel the mining contract that he signed as a rebel. What people don't know is, while they were advancing to take over the capital, there were people flying from Toronto and the US to sign contract with rebels because they knew that they're going to be successful. A person that you have to know, his name is Jean-Raymond Boule. He's a friend of Bill Clinton. He used to have his office here in Hope, Arkansas. He moved it now to Toronto. So when he became president, he said, well, I'm president now. Anything I signed before doesn't count. Come to the front door. That alienated many multinationals. Not only that, the Rwandan soldiers at the time and the Ugandan soldiers were committing atrocities with the population. And there was anger being built because they saw how they were taking properties, they were mining resources, getting to Kigali and Kampala. So he asked them to leave the Congo. It took them 2 weeks to reinvade the Congo. They reinvaded the Congo on August 2nd, 1998. And that's when is the start of what people have coined the First African World War, where African countries, certain ones, allied themselves either with Kinshasa or Rwanda and Uganda. So you had Chad, who else was involved, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and about 9 African countries, but it was on both sides that they were supporting. Why are they killing the population? The population live in the area where there are resources. They have to be displaced. If you want to get access to those minerals, guess what you have to do? Brutalize them. If you use your weapons, you will have to buy more bullets. But if you can brutalize them, right, in public, so everyone see, the next day the population shift. Was it used somewhere else? Yes. If you look at those tactics, and you look at the region, you look at what Museveni did in 1986 to take power, you see that rape as a weapon of war was used in that area. The women are not the only one being raped. The men are also being raped. The children are also being raped. Has it happened in Uganda? Yes. Who took power there? Museveni. Who supported him to take power in Uganda? The United States government. Did it happen in Rwanda? Yes. What happened in Rwanda? The United States supported rebels who took over Rwanda. No, they started the invasion in 1991, and there was a battle in 1994 that resulted in the genocide, but these people were trained here at Fort Leavenworth, right? And then, is it happening in the Congo? Yes. So when you look at the region and you see the same type of crimes, and you see who's causing it, and where they're getting the training, it keeps coming back to here. What are we doing to support the people? Form of protection, everything else. The Congolese have tried everything. They even tried